It seems to me that there's quite a few people out there that sort of see humanity and our inventions and our creations as an encroachment on the beauty of the natural world. And obviously, this is sometimes the case, maybe often the case. You only have to look at a landfill. There's nothing beautiful about a landfill. Maybe somebody thinks it's beautiful, but most of us would agree that that's not beautiful, and that it's particularly ugly when you see the environment in which it's put in, and maybe the oil that's running through the streams and the animals that it's maybe killed because of the pollution of the water and water table and things like this. However, I think it's also obviously the case that there are things that humans make that are incredibly beautiful. If you I keep doing this, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be an evolutionary biologist or psychologist, because I'm not. But if you go back to the beginnings of really what we would call modern humans, the appearance of art happens quite early. It seems like humans have been utilizing their creative minds and their hands to make objects nice to look at in a way that serves no particular function other than that. So humans have been making beautiful objects, or at least objects that have been designed to only be beautiful, jewelry, figurines, things like this, for tens of thousands of years now. And we didn't need to build sort of some philosophical system to say that we should be doing this. In order for us to do it, it's something we do, I would argue, innately. That humans just seem to have this urge to make beautiful objects. And of course, now that we've developed technologies far beyond, something like a hand axe, just a basic kind of sharp bit of obsidian, we've been able to make far more complex objects. Now, some of those objects, maybe most of those objects, in fact, are not designed to be beautiful, although a lot of objects that are designed to be functional are also designed to be beautiful. Shoes are made for wearing, and some shoes are made, for example, for wearing on a sporting field, like basketball. I play a lot of basketball, and really those shoes are just there to protect your feet, to provide cushioning and stability, protect from injury, increase kind of mobility, create a little bit of springiness in your step so you can get a little lift, a little extra jump, a little bit of extra acceleration. Does it matter what it looks like? Yes. Every basketball player who's got the money to do anything about it, for the most part, cares not only about how functional the shoe is, they also care what it looks like. That's how much we care about beautiful objects. Now, in certain cases, it's far more obvious than that when we're talking about art. There's a reason we have galleries. It's not just because a bunch of people told us that, hey, this is beautiful, you should love this now. Humans are drawn to beautiful objects. Now, we might disagree about which objects are beautiful. We all have our own tastes. But there's a reason we have people who spend their entire lives making sculptures, making paintings, making photographs, making buildings, architecture. Who hasn't looked at what's happening in their city, at some of the low-cost, high-rise tenements that are designed really poorly and not to fit in with the rest of the street, and gone, ooh, that's gross. And anytime you can say, ooh, that's gross, to an aesthetic object, it means you can also say it in reverse and say, wow, beautiful. So, yeah, obviously, nature can be beautiful, but it's kind of interesting that what seem to be two totally opposed and opposite things, what an outdoorsy nature, the wild, and kind of the civilized world of objects made by us, buildings, shoes, paintings, instruments, all this kind of stuff. They seem so opposite, and yet they both seem to inspire a sense of beauty within us. Now, I think the feelings can be sort of a little bit different. Again, like this, if we take the natural world, peace seems to be at the heart of beauty there. It's not the only thing. There's also a sense of wonder and awe and ego dissolution. I think the beauty of objects can have the beauty and ego dissolution, and it might have a sense of peace, but I don't think it necessarily has to. I mean, if I'm talking about like a cool pair of basketball shoes, I'm not feeling at peace. I'm thinking like cool. I'm excited. That's the only word I can think of. Cool. Anytime I see a cool pair of sneakers, I think cool. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's some sort of excitement. I think there's also something implicit about the person who made it, or the people who made it. There's an appreciation for craftsmanship tangled up in there, and it might be why some of us have an aversion to artistic objects that are not made by humans, that are made by artificial intelligence. Maybe that's just a product of our time, and in 200 years when it's perfectly normal for a person to grow up with AI art, that won't mean anything to them. I really don't know. Maybe in 200 years, they'll still be wanting their art, their beautiful objects to be made like people, because maybe there's something inherently important about the beauty of an object tied up in the maker of the object, that it come from a set of hands and came from a particular mind. As for how this affects a writer, again, I should have prepared this a little bit. For those of you who don't know, I don't use scripts. I just speak off the cuff. So sometimes I have things to say, and sometimes I get caught out and I don't have things to say. It's not so obvious to me how this one's important. Obviously, you're going to describe urban environments just like you're going to describe natural environments, and sometimes you want that description to be beautiful, a beautiful old library or something like this. So I guess in that sense it can be very useful. But also, I mean, really, you are a craftsperson in the same way that the cobbler is a craftsperson with shoes, that the painter is a craftsperson with the painting. So do you have to study what makes a crafted item beautiful? I guess you do, in a sense. Maybe you don't have to study what makes, the beautiful pair of shoes beautiful, but you probably want to study what makes a work of prose, that kind of, is that an object? Let's not go down that rabbit hole, but that quasi-object, something makes that beautiful. Some set of things make that beautiful, and these are technical features. These are features you can sort of pin down and talk about. The way that the point of view is illustrated, the way that themes are sort of embedded into visual descriptions of environments. It depends on the author, but every beautiful book that's ever been written is beautiful for multiple reasons. It's not just a random abstract idea. It's actualized in a text by using certain technical elements. So I think, now that I think about it, this kind of beauty is very important to a writer because they are the craftsperson making the beautiful object.